So you've been immersed in fantasy worlds pretty much from the beginning of your career. So is it now kind of second nature to become immersed in this kind of thing?
The thing is, once you're in the world, it's working on the project was kind of similar because, of course, you want it to feel real. So the stakes for the characters are real, no matter what the genre. So it's kind of playing Melanie in this world, or playing her, right now in New York City. She's sort of the same character. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
And Jennifer, you've been on Broadway, a lot of movies, TV.
Never Broadway.
What, you on Broadway?
No, never Broadway.
I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, the difference.
I see you in Chicago. Oh yeah. Gotta work on my dance moves.
No. We had some lunch breaks.
Anyway, my question is the difference between working in movies and TV. How is that really different?
The pace is different.
Okay.
I found, there's the volume of material that you get through, the page count every day that you're shooting. Also the fact that the document is evolving as you're working. You do a film, and there are revisions, but pretty much you have, you have a document, and that's it. You have a script, and you're shooting that script. And new pages will come in, but this whole new scripts are coming in, and you're learning new things about characters and new plot points, and so that's a different process. And just the length of time spent with the story and spent with the characters was also.
How long does it take to shoot each episode?
I think we were shooting
10 days,
10
right?
days, basically, per episode, more or less. It wasn't super linear, which is why we did seem a little confused answering that. It wasn't like we're shooting episode 1 and we shoot for 10 days and then that's a wrap. We're shooting episode 2, so there was
So like if they have one car dressed, you'll
do as much as you can do with that
shoots and things sometimes. And
It was
there's
generally
crossover in some episodes.
in blocks of 2 episodes at a time, but then at the end of the season we'd have to go back and read it because the story is evolving, and sometimes the story evolves to a place that totally fucks something you shot already, so they got to go back and fix that. So it's a crazy way to make something, actually. I don't know, but it's cool.
So it was kind of being written as you went along, and were certain things introduced that were not there when you started out?
Sure. I mean, I think the interesting thing to me about TV is that everybody is learning about these characters as they go, right?
Yeah, we didn't start with all 10 scripts.
Right, and so
we started with a few scripts, and then the scripts were as we were shooting.
It ends up being like a conversation happening between, even though we don't ever get to see each other, between actors and the writer's room. Whereas you'll do something and a writer will be like, oh, well, I actually didn't know that was part of I didn't know that was part of Leighton. Now we can add that into these next scripts, and then maybe they push something that I didn't know was part of it. Oh, I didn't know I had no idea about this vital piece of backstory. Well, now we fold that into the.
How did you manage to kind of tap into these characters that are in a world that could be ours soon, but as of right now is obviously very different? We have freedoms and we have a world, at least for right now, that's bigger than a hunk of metal, basically.
In a similar way that I approach most, projects. Who is she? Where'd she come from? What does she do? How does she spend her time? You asking myself lots of questions. What does she want? What is she scared of? What is, trying to have a really clear understanding of her world and her point of view. For these characters, everyone has lost someone. Everyone has left their, the life that they knew behind. So what was that like before? Where did she grow up? Who did she meet? What did she sacrifice? What is her dream for the future? Sort of talking through that with Graham, and then just sort of imagining on my own who I thought she was, trying to make her feel as real of a character as I could for myself.
Yeah. Yes. Same. I mean, I think. Yeah. For a big element of this one was loss. I think everybody's lost so much, and for Leighton and Mateo, everybody in Mateo, right, coping with loss isn't even sort of even magnified because of the lack of comfort or respect or like the modes of living that you're probably used to just by virtue of living in the relative comfort that most Americans live in, right? And so I think figuring out how Leighton coped and is coping and is continuing to cope with loss was an interesting thing for me, where he holds anger, like how angry he allows himself to get given the close confines of a situation, like how much forward thinking does he do, how much does his detective work inform that. There's a lot of things to try and think about, it turns out, when you're acting. So I don't know, as much as, and that's another tricky thing about learning so much on the fly, is that like you don't always have the time to internalize those things, so you just sort of hope that you did, at least for me.
So what was it like to action sequences? They've got to be pretty intense. It's very anything like the movie. And what was it like doing that sort of thing in such close confines as the set of a train?
I had a little action.
Yeah.
I had some action sequences. It was pretty fun, actually. I enjoyed it. It's different kind of work.
How is it different than other action scenes? Those like big, expansive kind of
Not different. What do you mean by that? You mean like in terms of the size of the set?
technique and because the set is so much smaller. You're just working in a small area.
Yeah, but of course they're built in a way that to accommodate shooting. So there are walls that move, and so they're not actually just the size of the car. There are walls that fly out and fly back in, and
Is the choreography different?
Yeah, I mean, it's dirty. Because there's not a lot of room for the fights to be beautiful in these spaces, right? So they feel like very violent, and they feel very like out of necessity, right? And so I thought the choreography was really cool, and it was interesting how much it would after. There's so much. I hadn't done a bunch of fight scenes before. There's so much to adapt. The choreographer worked so long to come up with like a very well structured fight scene, and then they're shooting it, and they're like, well, we can't see that. So the stunt team was also adapting on the fly all the time, and then all of the performers and everybody just trying to adjust to where cameras are and how to do things. It's also just like hyper violent and really bloody, and I think like a lot of actors, I was like, I'm so excited to do all these fights. I don't know, some of those long days, by the end of the thing, I just never, I don't really ever have to do anything bloody ever again. I'm actually done. I'm cool. I told Graham at the end of the season, like, can we sit Leighton behind a desk? Can he just be kind of in an advisory capacity and not really get his hands dirty anymore? Yeah, I would like to just Xerox machine kind of.
Well, then you're going to move to the front of the train then, right?
Yeah.